Okay, we're going to look at number 21. So a geologist claimed to have discovered a previously unknown form of life, nanobes, which are only 1/10 the size of the smallest known bacteria, this tiny form of life. However, we don't believe that geologist. It's unlikely that nanobes are truly living things. They are probably inanimate artifacts of clay. That's the conclusion of the argument, right? That they're probably not living things. They're probably just artifacts of clay. Why? How do we know that? What's the support for that conclusion? Because a nanobe is simply too small to contain a reproductive mechanism, which is a necessary prerequisite for life. So at face value, that sounds like a pretty good argument, right? We're saying that it's probably not a living thing, these nanobes. The argument is about whether these nanobes are living things or not, right? So the argument here is saying the nanobes are probably not living things. They're probably just clay. Why? Because they're too small to have a reproductive mechanism. And you need to have a reproductive mechanism in order to be a living thing. So that sounds like a pretty open and shut case, right? So we have to somehow find something in the answer choices that's going to weaken that argument. And as we do, anytime we're trying to destroy or weaken an argument, we want to show that no, just because that support is true, that doesn't prove that that conclusion is true. Just because support doesn't mean conclusion. Just because it doesn't have a reproductive mechanism, just because it's too small to contain a reproductive mechanism, doesn't mean that it's not a living thing. We have to find an answer that somehow tells us that. So let's look for that in the answer choices. A tells us that there's no known form of bacteria that's structurally complicated enough to engage in sexual reproduction. Now, what does that have to do with anything? Our argument is about nanobes. A is telling us something about bacteria. Now, yes, bacteria did get a mention in the paragraph, but only to point out that nanobes are 1/10 the size of the smallest known bacteria, right? So A is telling us sort of a by the way fact about bacteria. You know, by the way, bacteria doesn't engage in sexual reproduction. Okay, well, first of all, I guess it engages in some kind of other reproduction because it's a living thing, presumably, and it has to reproduce. But second of all, what does that have to do with nanobes? We're arguing over whether nanobes are living things, whether nanobes can engage in some kind of reproduction. So telling me that bacteria doesn't engage in a specific type of reproduction, sexual reproduction, what does that have to do with anything that we're talking about in this paragraph? So therefore, A is neither here nor there. It's not the answer. B is perfect. This is exactly what you want to look for. It tells you how, even though the support is true, it's possible that the conclusion can be false. B tells you that single-celled creatures can combine to form multi-celled structure and then reproduce and then disband into single cells again. So B tells you there's a way that tiny things can combine together and then reproduce and then disband again, which is exactly what we're talking about in this paragraph. We're talking about nanobes, and the argument is saying nanobes are too small to contain a reproductive mechanism. Therefore, they must not reproduce. They must not be living things, right? Because they can't reproduce. B says, no, no, no. Just because they're too small doesn't mean they can't join together and then reproduce. So according to B, we have a way of bypassing their small size. According to B, we have these tiny creatures, single-celled creatures, can combine to form larger things to reproduce and then disband again. So according to B, just because something's too small to reproduce doesn't mean it can't reproduce and be a living thing that reproduces. And therefore, B is exactly what we're looking for. It's not something we necessarily could have predicted, but we just had to look for something in the answers. Anything that tells us that just because something's too small to reproduce doesn't mean it can't be a living thing. B tells us that. Just because something is too small to reproduce doesn't mean it can't join together with other small things to reproduce and therefore be considered a living thing. So therefore, B is exactly the correct answer. It does weaken the argument. C is a little tricky because C tells us that there are these material phenomena in meteorites from Mars that are about the same size as nanobes, right? So they're just as small as the nanobes. And C says some scientists claim that they are the fossilized remains of bacteria, right? So they are living things even though they're as small as nanobes. Doesn't that weaken the argument? The answer is no, because C doesn't say they're definitely living things. C just says some scientists claim that they're living things. Okay, well, therefore, the person making this argument that we're looking at would say that they're wrong also, right? The paragraph that we're looking at, the stimulus of the question, says that a geologist, a scientist, claims that these nanobes are life, that these things we found are nanobes, which are life, right? And the argument is saying, no, they're too small to be life. They can't be life. C is just saying, well, some other scientists think some other tiny thing is also life. So presumably the person making this argument would say that they're also wrong because they're too small to be life also. So if C told us that they are definitely life, that would disprove our argument, because that would show you that you could have something that's that small that is definitely life. But just telling me that there's some other tiny thing that somebody else thinks is life, okay, well in this paragraph we also have a tiny thing that somebody thinks is life that's a scientist. And the person making this argument disagrees with them, so therefore they would presumably also disagree with the scientist mentioned in C. So it doesn't change anything. It doesn't give us any real world facts that tell us, these are definitely life, or they are definitely not life. It doesn't shed any light on that. It just tells us that there's some other opinion out there that disagrees with the opinion in this argument, but we have no idea whether that opinion is correct or not, right? And we already obviously know that there is an opinion in the scientific community that disagrees with our argument because it's mentioned in the argument itself. So telling me that there's another scientist that also disagrees with our argument doesn't change anything. It's neither here nor there. It doesn't give us any actual facts, right? We have to discern which opinion is correct, and C doesn't help us do that, so therefore it's wrong. D really doesn't affect this argument because D tells us that previous definitions of life happen to have been based on research that was done with these inferior microscopes that we no longer use. Now that's neither here nor there because that has nothing to do with this person's argument, right? The person in this argument is saying that these nanobes are too small to be considered a living thing, or to be physically possible, rather, to be a living thing, right? D tells us, by the way, previous definitions of life from, 50 years ago were based on research done with bad microscopes. So first of all, it doesn't tell us whether those definitions were wrong. It just says that they were based on research done with inferior microscopes. And second of all, we don't know if that has anything to do with this person's definition of life. The person making this argument is telling us that you need a reproductive mechanism in order to be a living thing. D is just telling us, by the way, previous definitions of life, they were based on research done with bad equipment. So it's kind of has nothing to do with this argument. E certainly is not going to help us out here. E tells us that there are examples of animals like cold-blooded lizards that can be simpler, though still larger than other animals. Now, this doesn't help us out because we're trying to weaken this argument. We're trying to show that there could be something that's very, very tiny and yet could still be a living thing. E is telling us that there's something larger that is a living thing. So that doesn't help us out. It's kind of the opposite in some way of what we're looking for. If you found this video useful, don't forget to hit subscribe. And for thousands more clear LSAT explanation videos, go to masterlsat.com.